I think the only thing that makes sense is that they have technology that could squish the world inhabitants like a bug. And our Congress and our Pentagon, our everybody at the top knows it. And that's why they play along with the great world bankers. We're going to take an extended break, and we'll be back in about 6 minutes. Let me take 1 or 2 minutes and back up my perspective, folks, about that. I think the bankers have something powerful that they use as leverage against nations. And I'm just going to toss out there some simple scenario that would work very effectively. The bankers having 80% of the wealth on Earth would have some very persuasive representatives. These guys would be maybe within your own government, but probably not. And let's say that you have fallen behind on your payments. They would just send this guy over to you. And I'm sure there's hundreds of these representatives, and he gets an appointment. Why does he get an appointment? Because you kind of know who he represents. And they just tell you when he's arriving, and the president has to reschedule. And so I bet it's something like that. He walks into the room, a private meeting, and he says, Mr. President of Spain or the United States, he says, we need you to get these payments up to date. And here are our suggestions. Raise this tax, do this. And so then it's up to the president and his staff to manipulate and spin it so that they give and take, and they hoodwink the media and the American public into going along with it. Now, how he would persuade the president is simply this. It could be something like this, I'm saying. Mr. President, and say the president says, look, with our economy, there's absolutely no way we can make those payments. And he says, very well. What I want you to do is keep your eye on these coordinates. At 3:30, the day after tomorrow, there's going to be a 7.5 earthquake. And it's clear across the world. And he walks out. It happens. The president freaks out and realizes that they have the ability to do this anywhere, at any time, at any level. And he realizes that they could launch a chain of, nation-ending earthquakes, storms, whatever, droughts on his nation, which would trump any technology that he has. So he does what? He taxes he puts the burden of the tax on his people to pay these bankers. That's what I'm presenting as why the bankers always get paid.
Interesting. But what if I said I don't know? Interesting. It's definitely plausible, and there's something like that. It seems to be going on. These people have all this preferential treatment, like we were talking about a week or so ago. Life extension technology. But these people don't look like, they don't walk around looking like they're bribed and living in fear and threatened and so forth in awe of some super technology. They just look like a bunch of freaking scoundrels and a bunch of hateful goons and idiots like Dick Cheney. Walking, there's, right during all the Iraq war slaughter and stuff, he'd walk out of the meetings all, walking fast with a big, almost laughing. These people just are total. When I look at them, what it seems to me is they're just the trash of the earth. And, I mean, Bill Frist, getting on Fox News with the smirks when he's talking about vaccines. And they all come from the big corporates. They're just greedy, horrible people who think they're untouchable and that people will never get their hands on them because they got their, paramilitary police, standing army, which the police forces in America are becoming. What if I said I think something like that is more going on? Now, I don't know. I mean, just throwing a counterpoint. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I like it. I really like it, but I'm not. Why does it have to be an either or? I mean, I kind of mentioned, the president of Spain or whatever. I tell you, a great analogy is Greece right now. Greece is refusing to pay the IMF loans and all that kind of stuff. And so Europe is freaking out because they have sold out. No, I think that guys like Obama are in bed with them. They've done their rituals. Maybe their bloodline is right. I mean, it's a little weird how Dick Cheney is related to Bush, to Obama. Heck, they're all related. All our last, 22 presidents or something are at least distant cousins. It's a little
Obama,
crazy. Yeah. I mean, come on. The guy's black. But yet, so if you haven't noticed. So anyway, I think, and then some of these politicians, let's say, they weren't in it, but now they are. They're a congressman from Minnesota, and all of a sudden he becomes privy to this, and he just submits to it, and they bring him into the fold. And that's how he's able to retain his Senate position for 30, 40 years, is because they support him, they finance him, they control the media. I think it's both, because I agree with you that these guys are trash, man. They're sold-out traitors. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on the point that they do seem to also I think, mixing those does seem like an interesting way to look at it, because they walk around with such confidence in almost, I don't take them as very, very smart. They're good con men. They're good at lying. And, we all know people have good personalities for being liars and actors. And, I mean, George Bush and Barack Obama are just kind of like just kind of like a Brad Pitt. He's paid there to be actors, which I know you already know that. Yeah. But maybe, they're acting that way because they think that there's this super technology behind them, which makes the people never able to get their hands on. Maybe that's why they act this way. So that would sort of enforce both views as well. I'm not trying to purposely fuse them. It's just fusing the views is more interesting to me than the either or.
Yeah, it's more dynamic if you kind of look at it as both rather than either or. And then, I think, however, what is the solution? I think the solution, I mean, are we gonna rush the hill and take it with our muskets? I mean, it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
The only way to overcome this situation is to create another reality, collectively or individually, and jump ship, man, and let them have what they want.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I believe that what we're coming to, maybe the 12-21-12 thing is it. Maybe that's just the beginning of it. But I think that it's possible to, through consciousness, create another reality, and that we're coming at a point where we might split. And that's what the Christians would call the rapture. And from our perspective, if we go over and just all of a sudden, boom, we walk into a new reality. Dick Cheney's nowhere to be found. However, they would see that I have gone missing, right? Maybe it's just you. Maybe I get stuck with them. I'm not saying that I'm going, guys. I'm just saying this would also give credence of why they're also obsessed with tracking you, having all knowledge over you. Maybe it goes more than just wanting to know what you're doing at all times and getting you to do what they want. Maybe it's something that we haven't thought of, such as they want to know, who's jumped ship. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I partnered with you on that last